Namaste. Hello, LifeCampers. Welcome. We're going to start in Child's Pose. Child's Pose is a really good pose to come into to feel grounding, to find the present moment, to regroup, to come back to your breath. Okay, in yoga we practice not worrying about something that already happened in our past and not thinking about anything that might come up in the future. It's about finding the present moment. So let's get started. So find a comfortable position on the ground, child's pose. Option number one is to come into a wide-legged child's pose. So my knees are apart, my big toes are touching. And I'm just going to walk my hands and place my forehead on the floor. Option two, if today feels better, you can bring your knees together to touch. And then you would just bring your forehead to the ground, resting your arms by your side, maybe reaching for the bottom of your feet. So come into this pose and find your breath. Inhaling and exhaling through your nose. And stay in this pose and maybe close your eyes. And allow any judgment, any feelings, any thoughts that might arise to just leave the room. One last round of breath here. And when you're ready, you can walk your hands back to your body or place your hands on the mat. We're going to come into Sukhasana, easy pose. And once we've arrived at this pose, we're going to start off today our practice with a mantra. So a mantra is another good activity that you can do to keep your mind off of something that might be occurring that helps refocus your mind and body. So I'm going to bring my thumb and my pointing finger together to touch. And I'm going to say peace while those two touch. And now I'm going to let that go, and I'm going to bring my middle finger and my thumb to touch. And I'm going to say begins. And let that go. And then I'm going to take my ring finger and my thumb to touch with. And then my last, my little finger and my thumb to touch me. So let's try it together. Peace begins with me. Nice. We'll try the other hand. Peace begins with me. And we can do both hands. Peace begins with me. Coming to table pose. Lining up your body, shoulders in line with your wrists, hips in line with your knees. Crown of your head is extended. Cat-cow. So cow, we're going to push our heart through our shoulders. Inhale in. And then exhale, rounding our back for cat. Inhale, cow. And exhale, round. This is a really good activity for you to do. You've been seated for a while. It just really helps warm up the spine, moving with your breath. One last round. We'll lean back in table pose. Threading the needle. A nice twist. This helps stretch your shoulders. So we're going to bring one hand towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to take that hand and I'm going to place it across my body and underneath my opposite arm. And I'm going to gently place that shoulder on the ground. My opposite hand is pushing into the ground below me so I can feel this nice gentle twist. On your breath. And you come back up, reach for the sky, and then we'll place that hand back on our mat. Opposite side. Left arm reaches or your right, depending on what you start with. I'm going to place it underneath that opposite hand. Feel the twist. And then back to center. From here, we're going to walk into plank pose. So plank pose, I'm going to walk my knees back towards the back of the mat. I'm going to tuck my toes under. My hips are going to come up straight. Lifting off the ground. My stomach, you can feel my core muscles, my stomach muscles pulling in towards my back. Okay, so this isn't like you're about to do a push-up. Plank pose. Hold it here, breathe. Good. At any time, you can always drop your knees. And now, I'm going to drop our knees back into table. We're going to walk our hands forward to come into a nice puppy dog stretch. So my hips and my knees are going to be in line, and I'm just going to walk my hands towards the front of the mat. And maybe your forehead comes to the ground. Hold it here. And then slowly we'll walk back to that table pose. And we're going to come into our first downward facing dog. You can tuck your toes. And then moving your hips up towards the ceiling, we'll all do that together. Heels moving towards the ground. Your eyes, your drishti looking back at your legs. Feel the lengthening of your head and neck. Your core muscles, again, your stomach muscles are pulling inward towards your back. Find your breath. Now we're going to look up towards our hands, and we're going to slowly walk our feet towards the top of the mat, in between your hands. Forward fold, bending your knees as much as you can. Today, option, you can come into that ragdoll pose, or maybe you bring your hands behind your calf muscles. Maybe you begin to straighten out your knees a little if you can. Just keep that chest and thigh connection. And then we're going to slowly rise up to standing. Hands at heart center. We're going to come and do a couple sun salutations. So sun salutations are really good for warming up your body. Sun salutations are good to do throughout the day when you feel tired. Yeah. Sun salutations would probably be something that you don't want to do when it's time at night, when it's closer to bedtime. So let's find mountain pose here for a moment. Just take a breath, a couple breaths. Maybe your drishti's looking down at something on the ground that's not moving. We're going to flow together. So I'm going to face this way. So you can see, I'm going to bring my arms up towards the ceiling. Inhale in. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. I'm going to bring my hands to my shins. Spine is straight here. And then I'm going to place them on the mat and step back into that plank pose that we practiced at the beginning of our practice. So always an option to come to your knees at any point in time. Find your breath here. Pulling those stomach muscles towards your back. Good, and then I'm going to drop my knees down to the mat. And I'm going to bring my chest, my heart, towards the floor. Forehead on the ground. Preparing for cobra pose. My elbows are in towards my side body, and I'm going to inhale, rise up, heart is lifted. And then exhale, tucking my toes, coming back into that downward facing dog. Take your time. 3 breaths here. Allow your face to loosen, your jaw to relax. And I'm going to walk my feet towards my hands. And I'm going to reverse my swan dive, coming up to a standing position. Hands towards the ceiling, and then hands at the Namaste Mudra. Let's try that again. Inhale, arms rise up. Exhale, fold. Reverse swan dive, arms out. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands come to shins. Notice my spine is strong and straight. Now I'm going to place my hands on the mat. Step back, plank pose. Dropping my knees to my mat. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Snake pose. And then we'll tuck our toes. Coming back to table. Hips come up. Downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Looking up at our fingers, I'm going to set my right foot in between my hands, coming into a low lunge. So I'm going to drop that back knee on the ground. I might tighten my fingers. Just a nice stretch here. My front knee can be bending past the ankle. You really want to feel the stretch in your left hip flexor. Option to stay here, or maybe walk your hands, interlacing your fingers on the tops of your thighs. That happens, your chest is going to lift, and maybe your arms come up towards the ceiling. Put a smile on your face. Good. And then I'm going to take my hands behind my back, interlacing my back, and just pulling those shoulder blades together to hug. Kind of like I'm holding a pencil between them. Good. Now my hands come back to the mat, step back. Downward facing dog, or you can always come into child's pose. Take 3 rounds of breath here. This time, let's sigh out our breaths. We're going to inhale in and then exhale out. One more time. Nice. Looking up at my hands, and I'm now going to step the opposite foot in between my hands. My left foot comes forward. Right knee comes towards the earth. So take a moment here to get rooted down. Bending that front knee. Maybe walk your hands up onto your thigh. Heart is lifted, shoulders back and away from your ears. Move your arms, come up. If that's too much on your shoulders, you can always cactus your arms as well. Good, and then I'm going to interlace my fingers behind my back. Chest lifts. Good, hands to the mat. This time I'm going to come into my child's pose. So big toes to touch. Find that resting pose. Sit back on your heels. Regroup.